Identifying the suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. Now it is an old movie and I say it all the time, but there is going to be spoilers in this review. In this film, this is the first time, it is only the third one in the franchise, but it is the first time where we stop getting Julie, Frank and Larry in this film. This goes a completely different route. Now, yes, we do have a little bit of Julie in one of the videos that we watched, but that's the only time we get a mention or see Julie or anyone from the past movies in this film. Obviously, we get Pinhead and the Cenobites, but in terms of the good guys, we kind of only get a little bit of Julie. But apart from that, it's a brand new cast and a brand new story. At the start, we get this guy who goes into a gallery and he sees the spinning block, and this homeless guy comes and says, oh, you can buy it off me, whatever you want. And I'm assuming that this homeless guy is supposed to be like the homeless guy from part 1. I don't think they make that clear. Maybe they make it clear in the book, but they don't make it clear in this movie. But I'm just assuming that this homeless guy wants to give him the spinning block so that he can then resurrect Pinhead and the Cenobites. It then cuts to not the guy who bought the spinning block, but must have been one of his friends who was using it, and he's getting rushed to hospital. There's an investigator there called Joey who sees it happen, so she kind of rushes in to see what's happening. This guy's getting taken in, he's got all the cuts all over him as if he's played with the puzzle box or the spinning block, and before they could save him in the hospital, he gets ripped apart with all the chains. But as he's getting ripped apart, or as he's getting dragged away, Joey, the investigator, she gets cut on the chains, and that kind of sets us up for the movie, knowing that Joey's going to be the main character, and this is her connection to how she gets to investigate the story, as well as be that kind of personally connected to Pinhead and the Hell world. Joey then gets connected to a girl called Terry. She was a girlfriend of the guy who bought the spinning block, but we still don't know too much about him. We know that he owns a nightclub and he's quite rich. But Joey then takes Terry under her wing to try and find out more information. At the beginning, Terry sounds like she's kind of up for it. You know, she doesn't really mind that they're trying to explore other things, explore other avenues. She's kind of that explorative person in the film. But she seems kind of innocent as well, but she also seems like she may believe anything that she's being told. Now, the rich guy is called JP Monroe. I actually liked his character. I hated him as a character, but I liked to watch him as a character. But he's kind of similar to the first two movies. What they need to do this time, and obviously he finds out accidentally, is the blood that spills on the spinning block. I'm calling it a spinning block. It might have a name, but anytime the blood spills on the spinning block, Pinhead becomes stronger and it can get out of this block. So it's similar to what happens in the first two movies, where you spill the blood on the floor or in the area or on the person. That person becomes stronger and comes out of the Hell world. It's Pinhead this time that has to come out, so anytime the blood spills on Pinhead and he grabs one of his victims, he becomes stronger and eventually he can get out of this spinning block. There was a strange decision to make in the film by JP. He wants to get Terry back because it was his girlfriend. He wants to get her back so he can use her as one of the victims in order to get Pinhead out. But JP Monroe, being JP Monroe, from what I can see in the movie, is he can get any girl he wants back to his apartment upstairs from the club that he lives in. So why doesn't he just bring randoms back? Why does he have to try his best to get his old girlfriend back in order to spill that blood? Just get any random in like he did before. Just keep doing that again. So the decisions that they make in the film sometimes are a little bit off, but I know that they have to do this to run the story along. But because of JP's stupidity, Terry gets the last laugh. She does go back with him and she manages to fight him off, and he ends up being one of Pinhead's victims instead, and Terry doesn't get away, but at least JP doesn't kill her. Now, if we look back at Joey, the investigator, because she got cut at the beginning, she has that possible psychic ability now just to run the story along, and she finds out that her dad, or he probably wasn't, but her dad was in the war, but it's depicted that he was in the same war as Pinhead when Pinhead was in human form. That probably wasn't the case. Pinhead's probably just depicting himself in this war so that Joey can get that connection between Pinhead and the good Pinhead, I would say, because Pinhead's having a battle right now between himself and his human form. His human form wants to do the right thing, whereas Pinhead wants to do the bad thing. And the good Pinhead wants to help Joey. I think the good Pinhead was called Elliot Spencer. I think they just call him Spencer, but his full name might be Elliot Spencer. And he has to try and help Joey get Pinhead back to her apartment, to the box, so that he can stop the evil from getting out. I think it was a bad decision to bring in new Cenobites. I thought they should have just brought back the old Cenobites, to be honest. They do collect new Cenobites throughout the film, and I think at the time it was probably creative, and it is still a creative gang of Cenobites, and sometimes it's cool to watch, but at times when you're watching it, it felt like I was watching a Terminator movie, and not the James Cameron Terminator movies, a knockoff Terminator movie with the gear that they were wearing and the technology that they had. It took me out of the movie. Yes, it's not a fantastic film, but I wanted to see more originality. And to do that, I think maybe bringing back the old Cenobites would have been the way to go. I believe this is the first movie that actually mentions the name Pinhead as well.
Play with this Pinhead!
I didn't like the finale at all. I think the finale was a bit of a joke, to be honest. I think it was a good idea, but I don't know if it was maybe just in the wrong film or they just executed it poorly. But the finale was terrible for me. You know, it took me right out of the Hellraiser franchise already. In the junkyard, in the streets, and with all the Terminator-style Cenobites coming after her. I just thought, you know, that what am I watching here? This is pretty bad. I didn't know this, but in terms of body count, I always thought that Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees were the ones with the big body counts. But in Hellraiser 3, I think this movie alone, Pinhead has a massive body count. You know, you look at the club scene when Pinhead comes out of the club and he kills everyone in the club, and then you see the aftermath of it. There must be hundreds and hundreds of people. There's definitely more than what Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees have racked up over the years together, combined. And then you look at this club scene with Pinhead, he's obliterated that kill count in the one scene. The acting and the dialogue's not terrible. I think the dialogue's maybe worse than the acting itself. There is a scene with Terry. She goes back to the apartment at night time and she's looking out the window and she's talking to Joey. And then she wakes up in the morning and looks out the window again to the view that she's already had, albeit it's daytime. And she's like, this is a great view. And I'm like, well, you saw it last night. It was an even nicer view last night. So the dialogue could have been tightened up a little bit lazy. Maybe a little bit amateur as well. But as far as the acting goes, the acting's not too bad. At the end of the day, I think they tried to give us a deep and meaningful story, not just with the characters that we've got introduced in this movie, but to Pinhead and the Cenobites as well. I think it was a good idea, but maybe it was executed poorly. So therefore, I didn't really like this film. It was okay. I don't remember seeing it when I was younger. I did watch it when I was younger, but this is the first time seeing it in years, probably the second time I've ever seen it, and it wasn't great. Are any of the Hellraisers great? Probably not, but Hellraiser 3, it was watchable at the end of the day. So what are your thoughts on Hellraiser 3, guys? Do you like it better than the first two movies? Where does it rank so far in this Hellraiser franchise? As always, guys, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.